Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trek Before. We're entering the new zone, Star Trek the Motion Picture. If this is the first time you're watching it, you may have loved it. If you're an old-time fan, maybe not. Maybe you discovered your love. I was excited to go back to see it. You'll hear me talk about Star Trek the Motion Picture this time on It's All Been Trek Before. Speaking of originals, the ones that started all, we're talking the It's All Been Done Radio Hour coming up September 14th. Yeah, at 5. It's coming up September 14th at 5 p.m. Universe will be plagued once more by the return of everyone's favorite semi-omnipotent life form, Z. And if you know Truly Awesome, if you're familiar with her, she's taking over that role this time. Spoiler alert, she is delightful. I fully encourage you to check her out as Z. Plus more stories, including a new It's All Been Theater. No beer this month. We do have comedy, laughs, and gaffes from this award-winning flagship of the It's All Been Done Presents Network. Speaking, hold on, get those tickets at madlab.net/tickets. Check the show out. Speaking of the It's All Been Done Presents Network, great way to support us here, patreon.com/IABD. Check it out. Support us, support the network, and all the lovely things we do. Speaking of which, check out the Quarterly Book Club. Yeah, we're into I think we're in third quarter. Why quarterly? Because you're busy and books are long. In its third year, we're reading young adult novels for 2019. You can watch a wrap-up discussion of our first quarter selection, Point Claw by Amber J. Kaiser, and the second quarter is Looking for Alaska by John Green. Then, this is what I'm getting to. Third quarter, read along, current selection, You Will Know Me by Megan Abbott. According to Amazon, You Will Know Me is a breathless roller coaster of a novel about the desperate limits of parental sacrifice, furtive desire, and the staggering force of ambition. Also gymnastics. Check out the Quarterly Book Club. All our programming at IABDpresents.com. And now, Star Trek the Motion Picture on It's All Been Trekked Before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. Your regular hosts are here.
This is Steven.
And Keith.
Jimmy-Jerome, and we are joined once again.
Hi, I'm Marianne.
And we have
Jessica.
Jessica back. It's been a while.
I know.
We are here to talk Star Trek the Motion Picture. So, normally we start with first impressions, but let's also talk about our first experience with the movie. I'll start with Steven.
I saw it when I was 11. I think I saw it opening day. If I wasn't quite at the height of my Star Trek obsession, I was pretty close. I thought it was great. I didn't understand anybody not liking it. Then I did understand it. Now I've kind of come back around to, I think it's underrated. So,
do you feel like you understood the movie that well at the time?
I was going to see it 2 or 3 more times anyway, so I did. I think I saw it 2 or 3 times at the theater, and then a few years later, once it got to HBO or whatever, once we got HBO and HBO was a thing. And then I saw it a bunch.
But I mean, can you remember how you, like, being that young and seeing the theater and, like, actually going, yes, I understand everything is happening. Like the whole thing, I don't know.
I think I reacted to it differently than now. As like, when I saw it then, I thought Kirk looked really old. Now I was like, hey, he looks pretty good. I didn't like the Decker character when I first saw it. Now I actually like him a lot. Going into it then, and I think that's part of the critical response then, which is different from the critical response now, or people that see it now. There were the people that were like, it's a TV show turned into a movie, which they didn't do that much then. They didn't do it all. This is the first time. It was also people like...
Was this the very first time? Are we sure?
I don't know if it's the first time, but it's one of the first times. I can't think of any other TV shows turned into movies. I think there were more movies turned into TV shows than TV shows turned into movies back then. But this may not have been the first, but it was definitely the biggest. 46 million, which wasn't a big deal then. But then there was another huge faction that was like, oh, I want it to be like Star Wars. And it's like, that's not what this is. And then there were Star Trek fans who was like, it was very much like now when we go see the latest Star Wars or Marvel. It's like, I wanted it to be this, and it was this. This isn't going to be Star Wars. It's a different thing. So I think that was part of the issues when it came out. Not to mention some of the other issues we'll get into with the movie. Not to say it's perfect, but definitely 11-year-old me was like, this is awesome. But yeah, then I went to it's underrated to it's overrated to it's underrated. I'm back to it being underrated.
I think I've mentioned on this podcast before, this was my very first Star Trek experience.
Before the series or anything?
Yeah, this was the first Star Trek I saw. I enjoyed the Star Wars movies as a young child, and I asked my dad to bring me Star Wars from the library, and they were out, and he brought me Star Trek the Motion Picture instead, and I was like, oh, what's that crap I've been watching? This is so much better.
This is like your supervillain origin story or something.
Yeah,
you're right.
The whole thing about the resentment of Star Wars.
To me, I really loved the characters immediately. Bones has always been my favorite and always will be. And this Bones had great moments in this movie.
Yeah.
Spock was interesting in this movie to me. I found him very mysterious and enigmatic. And I liked Kirk. as the captain. Over time, I've grown to like other characters, but those were the three characters that stood out as you would expect them to. The transport accident at the beginning disturbed me.
It is
being very disturbed by it.
We talked off mic about how this movie is rated G, and I just remember that just horrifying me.
And the wormhole I thought was cool. That V'ger was boring. I like the Scanner on the Enterprise. I'm like, that's a really cool show. V'ger, I still think as an adult is boring, but I like the story. It's that like long going into V'ger that I get bored during, and still to this day I get bored during.
I have many thoughts on that, but I'll save them.
They went like 6 minutes. I was the extended version where they got 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and I don't get bored during the loop around the ships. Who wants to go next? First impressions of the movie and also their experience with the movie.
Well, I mean, I could say that my memory of just many things from 70s, 80s, and just probably even some of the 90s is just so spotty, I have no idea. I remember vaguely having seen this probably around the HBO kind of era. And I don't know if I actually saw Con in the theater or not. I felt like I might have even gotten there late. For the first movie, the transporter accident is something that stuck with me. I had to have seen that or at least a reference to it. And I knew vaguely that, it was sort of like a reason for Mr. Spock to show up in a way. Yeah. Although it wasn't like he was called for. That was a device that I had not recalled at all. And so there's some science in this that I certainly enjoyed. And this felt like for me, I don't know if you guys will agree, but this felt like a step forward for me from the series. As far as it was like a very great episode of Star Trek, in my opinion. So I don't know if it's...
there were better episodes, but I would have ranked this relatively high.
Yeah, I mean, obviously effects-wise, clearly much better. Sure. But I think that,
But there were stories that were better.
But and I know, there was Peter Gunn and a bunch of British series and Are You Being Served that had movies, but most people, I think a lot of the movie critics dismissed it as the TV show trying to be a movie. That was another part of the criticism, and I think for a lot of Trek fans, it was like, no, this is a great version of this. It
was in the spirit.
But I think the elements of why the series was good are there.
Yeah. Yes.
I think it sort of bridged into the more modern style of acting. I think is one that just flowed better as far as the interpersonal relationships and so forth. I think that's why I would have enjoyed that probably more than
better music.
Yeah, I thought the score was great. But still,
I'm jumping ahead.
Me too. But still, like the original series, the love themes were really laid on real thick.
Marianne.
I have seen it before.
When did you first see it?
End of statement.
I saw it I was born in 1974. So I probably
So you were
saw
5 when this came out?
I was 5 when it came out, but I didn't see it in the movie theater. I saw it at home with Mom, and I'm almost positive she had seen it in the movie theater, and I feel like she edited certain things. Like, let's just fast forward through.
Like the transporter accident?
The transporter accident, because that was I don't remember that. Yeah.
I still don't know the transport accidents in a G movie, but maybe that's my 2019 sensibility. But
I didn't feel like it was explicit enough to really...
I didn't think it was fine other than the screaming.
I guess
the screaming is what put it over the top. And this version we watched is PG because of additional sounds.
So I saw that. I had already seen the original series. That was something that I grew up watching with my mom. It was just...
Your mom had good taste.
Yeah, I mean, that's just... I remember sitting there just before school or before I even, probably even went to school. That's just stuff we watched, and it was cool. I mean, I think I watched Sesame Street, but I enjoyed the movie to a point. This is one of those things where, gosh, I love seeing all these people back together. I remember distinctly the Voyager thing and the probe. After watching this episode, I got out the encyclopedias and looked up Voyager. And I remember going to school one day and had a report on Voyager, and one of the things in the probe that they sent out was a bunch of it was like a pictograph, and so I recreated that. Except for one thing on the corner that I messed up, but I was like, tag nabbit, but no one would know, and no one knew anyway. But for me, I was just like, oh my god, my teacher's going to see that. But no, that got me into science and Star Trek and and Star Wars and all that stuff.
So this is the first time I've ever seen this movie. A lot of my memories of the Star Trek movies come from like the Next Generation movies, because those are movies that I was alive and able to go see them in the theater with my parents.
That was the kindest way of saying it. I thought you were about to say those are the movies that were good, or.
I had a wife and kids by the time those came out. I didn't have time.
I agree. I didn't see a movie in Star Trek movie in theaters till next gen either, so I
Right.
get where
So-
you're
You were the youngins.
I'd never seen this. I was super proud of myself that I knew who V'ger was.
Yeah, that was a nice
Figured
pull.
that out. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. There was some stuff that drug a little too long, and I'm pretty sure I blacked out during the whole scene where they were going into V'ger's body.
Are you saying that's an example of something that went on too long? Anything else?
Yeah,
like
and
that?
I just like glazed over.
Yep.
But yeah, I
Why?
enjoyed
They're just
it.
going in a new tunnel for like 5 minutes.
I did not enjoy most of their costumes, but
No, we'll talk about fashion.
Oh yeah.
I have a lot of fashion thoughts.
I do too.
We all do. But did you like this movie?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So there was some mentions earlier here about, was this a television series? Marianne asked before we started, and I said, hold off. And if you want to hear more about the television series, Steven and I recorded a whole episode on Star Trek Phase 2.
Yeah.
But to sum it up real quick, is they had ordered a second television series, they built the sets, they wrote 13 scripts, they had everybody signed on contract to come back, except Leonard Nimoy was not returning as Spock.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And they had added 3 new characters. They added the science officer, Lieutenant Zahn,
No
a
one
Vulcan.
cares.
They added Commander Will Decker and
that's-
Lieutenant Ileana, the Navigator.
Wow.
Yeah.
They reused a lot of the scripts for Next Generation because Ileana and Decker are essentially Riker and Troy. And this was actually essentially the 2-hour pilot for the series, except Decker and Ileana would have survived it, and Spock wasn't in it.
Yeah.
Zahn had
Mistake.
They wrote a lot of Zahn McCoy stuff trying to give them the same banter that McCoy has.
Yeah,
with
Nimoy
Spock.
didn't want to do it.
And then at the last minute, they got him
Yeah.
in. Funny enough, several of the movie projects and stuff before this, Shatner was hard to get on
Yeah.
board, and they had wrote him without him. So Decker was there as a, if Shatner gets too expensive, we've got a ready replacement, and we can cut his episode order. What do you guys think about Decker and Ileana as new characters? Do you think they fit in well with the crew? Are they well developed for this movie?
You go.
I don't think they were well developed. I don't think
Really?
they, I don't
Yeah,
think they were that.
I think Decker's better developed than I would have thought before. I wanted more Ilea before she becomes the probe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think,
Agreed.
we look very quickly at the deleted scenes and they're all Ilea.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I think that would have
There's
been
a lot more. There was like flirtation with Sulu that they cut out.
right.
Yeah.
And not only is she done an injustice by the scenes being deleted, I do think some of it is having an Indian actress do those lines. It works great for the movie to me. And then, I obviously this is before Bollywood exploded here, and I think in some ways that did a service to her as well. But I think because I think she actually got some really good reviews at the time, but I feel like people didn't warm to her like they should have. But I think some of that's the deleted scenes too.
Yeah.
They didn't warm to the character as much.
I was going to say, I kind of disagree about Decker as far as development. I mean, obviously, they could have done more with him, but just in a brief bit of time, I loved his interactions with Kirk.
Yeah, I felt that more now than I did when I was
think
younger.
that was the best parts of him.
Yeah.
Were the parts
So
with
a
Kirk.
lot of
Yeah.
the stuff we'll get to in the next couple movies with David as the father-son relationship were kind of designed to be Decker, and then they decided not to. Then they decided late to get rid of Decker in this movie. So you can see that they liked that relationship and tried to continue it with another actor.
And I notice even more now than I did before, but there's a lot of the idea was that Decker's, even more than like his dad, he's very Kirk. Like, he left Ilea, which is what Kirk did. He left a woman in every port, especially, whatever, I don't know, Carol Marcus or Eve or whoever you want to say he left, or Ruth, sorry. Carol Marcus or Ruth or whoever, all the different women he left. Yeah, because he was married to
Which
the
we
ship.
should mention that Will Decker was Matt Decker's son, which
From the
is
Doomsday.
not established in the movie, but I liked both characters.
do
Stephen
too.
Collins' reputation has not aged well.
Right, but I think he does a great job in this movie.
I do too.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot all the way up until all the allegations came out
Yeah.
and he lost his career.
Huh.
He was the father on Seventh Heaven, and
Yeah.
that ended very poorly for him. Yeah. The mother on Seventh Heaven is in Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. So
That's
we'll get to
right.
that. She's
That's
like
right.
the main guest
That's
actor in that
right.
movie.
That is correct.
So both the parents in Seventh Heaven.
Just even though there was a lot of things that were implied with the history with him and Ilea, I liked that when she came on, you could see that the eye contact and then just that little exchange with Kirk as far as him helping him save face.
Yeah.
It was he just knew, he understood. There's something wrong with these two. I'm not going to embarrass this guy. I'm not going to like say he was demoted or anything. It's just sort of like, this is the way things are. And
well, he kept giving the little smiles to Decker
Yeah.
every time Decker corrected him correctly.
yeah.
And then he also, like, and when he acknowledged his missing, he named him as Captain Decker in the log
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Letting Decker
Wise man once said.
speak freely early on
It's
kind of
true.
put Kirk in his place because
Yeah.
Kirk had to admit, and Kirk recommended him for the captainship of the
Yeah.
Enterprise. So clearly Kirk thought highly of him.
Yeah, they had a relationship.
Whereas Ilea, we just had Chapel hint that the two of them had history. Oh, I saw her wear that once.
Yeah.
You know?
When she first, right before she comes on, they're like, someone's like, well, she's a Deltan. Which I feel like they're like, well, she's a slut. I'm overstating it, but it's like,
Yeah.
why do you have to mention that she's a Deltan?
I mean,
They
the
said it
sexuality.
with such.
It's
they
world
said-
building.
they
I
said
guess
it with
so,
such
yeah.
Pregnant pause.
Right.
She's a
Deltan,
Deltan.
yeah.
And it was like,
See?
no,
Yeah.
Aurora, no,
Yeah.
no.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No slut shaming on the Enterprise.
Yes, no.
No, I think if we had a television series, they would have developed that part of her personality. With the movie, it feels throwaway because it never actually factors into the plot.
Well, and maybe I'm being over the top, but I feel like it should have been more like, oh yeah, she's from Michigan. Like, she's a Deltan.
Yeah, she's a Deltan.
That's it. Yeah, we
Sure.
know. They're from Michigan, so they're going to be
And if
into
her
whatever.
sexuality mattered, then it should have played a part. in
Right,
it.
right.
Yeah, to be like, I've taken my vow of celibacy, and that never was an issue. I
Yeah.
I thought that
That's
was interesting.
dumb.
They say, that once the Zahn or whoever dies in the terrible transport accident. Sonak, yeah. Well, there's no Vulcans available, which I feel like is still specious. It's like, only a Vulcan can be a science officer?
Well,
No,
Kirk really wanted a
Kirk was the
Vulcan.
one that wanted
Yeah.
to be
Well,
Vulcan.
Kirk's being the species.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But the Vulcan
It's
was one
because
of
he's
the
in love.
Vulcan was one of the.
He's got a type, is what you're
He
saying.
has a
Orville,
type.
yeah. Keith's note about replacing Vulcan with a Vulcan reminded me of the Orville. Yeah, the security officer this season.
Yeah.
Where the captain requested the same species.
To be fair, I would request for same species as Halton Sage. So,
But Vulcan was one of the 4 founding races, so you think there'd be more Vulcans,
Right.
in the Federation.
Yeah.
But we have been told over and over again that there aren't a bunch of Vulcans in Starfleet.
they
So
want to be, yeah.
They don't play nice.
they don't want to be.
They're like-
we saw Tellarite and Endorians in the group shot
We did.
when Kirk was addressing the crew, and they were the other 2 founding
Oh, I didn't
species.
catch that.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. Interestingly, Mark Leonard, Sarek
Yeah.
himself, played the Klingon captain
Right off the
in
bat.
the opening,
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
which I thought was interesting.
that was my first note. Actually, I noticed this is probably like the first time they really got the full blown, like modern looking Klingons,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So my
It's
question,
been retcon now, but
my question was, do you think that that's what Roddenberry had envisioned?
yes,
Like for
he
the
said
series?
so.
Yeah.
He said so. And Enterprise and Discovery do the retconning to explain why they look the way they look. So we'll get to it in a lot of years.
So the scene with Spock and the other Vulcans. With
Yeah.
This,
Back on Vulcan.
Culinar,
Yeah.
on Vulcan. I was reading that it was actually done in English, and then James Doohan actually
Yeah.
Huh.
redid the words
Yeah.
and watched it and and then he changed subtitles around. And then someone in the thing was like, no, that's not, the subtitles are wrong. This is what they're actually saying in Vulcan. And so someone in the IMDb page was like, the subtitles are wrong. Here's what they actually say. And I was like, oh.
Because that's a better developed language.
Yeah.
now.
See, I read Doohan did the Klingon too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I think all Klingon language is based on
What do
Jimmy
they
Doohan's
actually
notes. That's what I read.
There's a guy that developed the Klingon language.
But I think he got it-
for
he-
the movies.
Well, while you're looking that up,
Yeah.
I noted that this is like, I think for me the essential missing link between young and old Scotty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
He's the one that looks the most different.
everyone always said,
Mark Okran was the
Yes.
Klingon
Yeah.
language. But also credited James Doohan
Yeah.
and John Bovell.
Yeah.
everyone always said that the movie version of Scotty looks so different from the series. And in this one, at least, he looked at least similar enough to
Right.
me.
He's got the dark
series,
hair.
and you
When
gotta
I
see his
watched the
face
original
right there.
series, I didn't recognize him at first. I was like, that can't be the same.
Well, between
actor.
this and Khan,
Oh my
he's
God,
put on
there's
some
so
Oh,
many-
Khan's where you start
Yeah,
thinking like,
yeah. That's exactly. So with this, I was like, oh, I can see his
Yeah,
face.
yeah.
I see him now.
Yeah.
That's when he.
It's literally just someone being pissy that it wasn't a direct translation.
Yeah.
That they made it sound nicer in the translation.
Are you
and more natural.
That's the way that.
Our ancestors cast out their animal passions on these very sands. And it says, Spock, on these sands, our ancestors cast their animal passions.
Yeah, Trekkies.
It's literally
and I'm gonna
just-
say Trekkies back in that day were. They were heavy into the. Well, actually, there was a lot of that going on back
It's
then.
literally just
Did they
their
mansplain
translation.
things?
Oh, they did. Yes, they
To
did.
themselves.
To themselves, to other men.
To other men. To other
Well,
men.
there
yeah.
were a lot of female Star Trek
There
fans
were.
back in the
There
day
were
too, actually.
yeah.
So speaking of-
Actually, Marianne,
Marianne.
there were a lot of.
There was one.
Just none of them
there
ever
was
talked to
one
me.
Who looked a lot. Wait, your mother.
So speaking of the Kulinar scene,
Yes.
Spock walking out here looking like Hobo Joe on the most depressing looking planet I've ever
And
seen.
his hair.
And his terrible hair.
Vulcan's a desert planet.
Who did
'cause
this?
Yeah, I
it's
wrote.
homogeneous.
I thought.
I've never seen any of these Vulcans with such terrible hair before.
I thought Vulcan looked cooler on the one hand because, like, oh, there's the moons.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it's a desert world. And like, what is it? What are they on a moon? There's no atmosphere.
there's no
I know
atmosphere.
It's thin, but it's not that
Weird.
thin, is it?
And then they're like, oh, Spock, we're going to cast out all emotions like good Vulcans. And Spock's like, my BF needs me. And they were like, oh, God.
That was the
no.
Star Wars moment because he should have said, "I feel a disturbance in the force."
He
Yeah,
totally.
that's
His
all
face
I
was
was
totally the
That's what I
destruction of
was
Alderaan.
thinking.
It was
The thing-
totally that.
The thing that gets me is we're all about logic and everything, and they're like, "You don't deserve this necklace." Drop. Huh?
And that very
None of that's
elaborate
logical.
necklace. It wasn't a logically. It should be a very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The strip is what Keith suggested.
Or they
It
just
was
random.
like-
A triangle,
I
a
think-
square, something.
I
Branding up
figure
to me would
if
be
you were
logical.
gonna be like based on logic, you'd be like an Amish kind of like
Yeah.
jewelry.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't really
Or-
wear jewelry,
without
but
the
What's
beard.
the logic of having jewelry at all?
and
Yeah.
then they went full on like pharaoh
But
jewelry
Yeah.
where I
instead.
excuse that though is we see over and over again the Vulcans are so haughty and so full of themselves
Yeah.
that
I
they
know.
actually go beyond what they say they are. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
Which is very realistic, I think.
they're like
Yeah.
it's because you're half human. Gross.
Yeah, they do. They are like that. They're very.
Well-
So while we're talking the necklace, we should do our fashion because there's plenty to talk there.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
What do you think of the new uniforms?
ugly as sin. Most of them. Bones
Thank God
was
that-
spectacular.
Thank God they didn't do the television series. in those
But I don't
uniforms.
know what their little
The little belt buckle is very
Belt
much like
thing.
the is it by any other name where they crush the cubes and they have the
I was about to say the little mind controllers.
yeah where they
Controllers.
had two buttons but they had
It looked like the force fields they wore in the animated series.
Is it a
away
grappling
missions.
hook?
yeah by any other name. Wink of an
Is
eye was
it-
the setup heel. By any other name was
I mean,
the
so many
Poison capsules.
options. Grappling hook, fanny pack,
yeah
an Apple Watch.
The Batman utility belt is much smaller in those
What
days.
could it be? Who knows?
yeah. Nichelle Nichols did not. She wanted the skirt and the old stuff.
Sure.
So but
Do you blame her?
they did not let us down. We do get a short skirt. It's a bathrobe that Ilea wears once
Sure.
she becomes.
Which is the action figure
When
they
she
put out.
becomes,
Yeah. Well, no, her shoes are great.
Oh, that's a great
The
outfit.
bathrobe is
the
great.
high heel slippers.
Somehow the bathrobe is long in the back, short in the front. It's a mullet,
And
but
when-
it
with
looks
a
great on
giant
her.
collar.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, and her little amulet is fantastic.
when
So,
Bones
I love,
Oh.
I love
I
all
love
of
his
this.
beard. I
Yeah.
wish he had
I
a
hate
shave.
his
his
medallion.
As someone who could
Oh
could
my
wear the V-neck
God.
then in a,
Look
and I
at
wore it
that
in a disco
V-neck.
dance contest and fifth grade talent contest. I love all the V-necks in this. They're great.
And Spock cleaned up before he came
Yeah.
to see Kirk.
Oh,
I also
yeah.
like Kirk's
That
Oh my
outfit.
God.
That outfit. Holy
Black
shit. Black
cape,
you could wear that the whole time.
Purple satin accents. Oh my God, he,
He
was
was
so
fabulous.
stylish.
I know we've talked a lot about
Haircut.
McCoy's short sleeves, but I like Kirk popping
Did
out
you
the guns.
notice?
Yeah, Kirk's short sleeves were good.
Kirk changed to the more casual short sleeve when
Oh,
the
yeah.
emergency was going down.
Yeah.
Like that
He
doesn't
changed
seem
his
the time.
outfit
No.
at least 4 times in this movie.
So that's what I was wondering about. I mean, I kind of like the shape of those new short sleeve shirts,
Yeah.
but like the plain white on it was just kind of weird for.
Yeah.
Did you like their wrist communicators now that they're using? Like they always have.
They
them
look
on?
kind of like those slap-on bracelets.
They do.
They do.
They don't go all the way around the wrist.
Yeah.
And they made a point of they wanted to make sure they didn't look too much like Dick Tracy's.
I
Kirk and
just
Spock's
like
sideburns were on point to me.
What about your hair sideburns and the fro?
Oh, shit. Natural hair looked great.
It did.
Yeah.
So good in it.
Nichelle Nichols can't do her own by me. While we're on fashion, the landing party, which once again, it's like not only is it Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, but Decker's like, I'd like to go too. Yep, let's get the 4 most important people on the ship. Get them out of here.
What the hell?
Sulu was in command for half the movie.
Yeah, I trust Sulu, but you know,
But it'll still be several movies before he gets his own ship.
it must have been April 25th because they put on light jackets.
Sure.
So that reminds me of a stupid canon question. I keep forgetting to ask about this. The term con. What is the con? I mean, so
CONN.
Yeah. So what does that mean? What does it stand for?
Communicator.
Yeah, I was like, because at first I kept thinking they were saying, "Oh, you have the com."
It's a military
like command.
term. Yeah.
The con.
The console?
They say con, but I think it means command.
The con is the act of controlling the ship's movements while at sea.
So it's like
It's a nautical term.
Okay.
CONN.
Yeah.
So it's something used today, and that's what it is. Star Trek keeps a lot of naval terms and ranks and things. So we talked about the new uniforms. What did you think of the new ship?
Baller.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the recreation lounge was
Oh,
kind
the
of
recreation
Yeah.
lounge was
ugly.
amazing.
Yeah.
But look at all the fun
color-wise.
games and stuff.
I wish they'd have played whatever game instead of just
I
touching the
know.
tablets on the
And they have the pictures of the
Aaliyah
different
loved
inter-
this game.
And they have the pictures of the different Enterprise
Yeah,
stuff.
and they just named the first shuttle or whatever Enterprise.
Yeah,
is.
Space
So
Shuttle,
that was in
NASA
there,
shuttle.
yeah. I thought the two of them watching Ilea and Decker was like the first. They were watching the first reality dating show, although obviously
Yeah.
not because we hadn't had one. We didn't have one then.
Sure.
So, but
Kirk's quarters look sharp.
yeah,
They look much more
He had a
comfortable.
large
Upgrade.
bed looking
Yeah.
thing.
And they really were Decker's quarters, right? Kirk just
Yeah.
like
That's
kicked
what I
around them.
thought. He must have just.
But it seemed like he had already moved in.
He sprayed it with Axe body spray and was like, "This is my place."
I appreciated Kirk's when he told Decker I'm taking over. Like he was just kind of straight no
Yeah.
nonsense.
Just
Yeah.
it wasn't
Well, you gotta
no
rip off the
preambles like.
Band-Aid.
Exactly.
It's mine now, and Decker flips out and he's like, "Yeah, so I'm in command now."
I honestly didn't see that as Decker
I was like,
flipping out. I thought he
good job.
kept his
Yeah.
composure.
It was. I think it was a reasonable reaction.
Yeah.
under the
Yeah, I thought so,
circumstances.
too.
And it was just that brief little like.
To accuse someone of you have been scheming to get this ship away from
But
me
he
for
was right.
since ever.
But he was right.
Well, and
So-
And he didn't like throw a tantrum and distract the whole crew. He just said, "Hey, I know why you're doing this."
the
I know
novelization
what's
by
going on."
Roddenberry gets
Marshall.
more into the Kirk is like, God, I really miss being out there. But I know it's a 2-hour, 11-minute movie, so there was plenty of time. But they don't get you don't get a sense of Kirk really wants to be back. I think if you watch the old series, you're like, well, Kirk's the national guy. He should be the guy.
Sure.
So when Decker says that, it's like, oh, that makes sense. But you don't get any of the fact that Kirk misses command. So that good stuff gets shuttled to the second movie.
So I
Spoiler alert.
really liked the ship porn that were just circling the ship outside for long periods of time because it looked really good and they could have done it even longer as they did.
Oh yeah,
extended.
yeah.
But I also really loved how they transition from this ship is beautiful, and then he docks and he goes into the chaotic bridge where everything's a mess and everybody's all over the place.
It's like
That
when
was
they
a
build
really
a new
good
building.
transition.
The outside looks great. It's like, oh, we still got a lot of inside stuff to do.
That's one of my favorite parts is that transition.
Yeah. I really like that shuttle scene between Scotty and Kirk. I know they don't talk a lot, but I think the couple seconds they do is effective to me.
Yeah,
Sorry, the
it's just
exterior
the
shots.
look of the
Yeah,
shuttle
it's very
scene was
like
ugh.
it's very much like, oh, this is the look of the shuttle from the outside is very 70s.
Yeah.
But the scene inside I feel like is very much like, hey audience, we know how you're feeling, like we're getting back on the ship. This is pretty awesome. And those two guys are sharing that same moment, which you would think Kirk obviously and Scotty's like, I'm glad you're back, without saying it. I just think that's a great little scene.
Kirk throws in the imitation of Scotty where he says "you're right" with the Scottish accent.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of.
I mean, and that's one of those little
But I like it.
moments from the series kind of things.
Yeah.
I like that they knew that San Francisco was going to be the tech center of the planet.
Well, San Francisco's Starfleet headquarters, Starfleet Academy.
Right.
In canon.
They knew that's where that would be.
Just like Columbus and Universe Journey.
Well, and as I mentioned to Keith earlier, in Universe Journey, the very first scene we get of the captain going to a ship, being escorted by the admiral, and that to me is I was picturing this scene from the motion picture. We couldn't show the ship,
Yeah.
but I wanted that escorting of the captain by shuttle to the ship. Yeah, I liked the design of that little area. I thought the transporter accident thing was kind of weird. That like we can't beam Kirk up, which was convenient.
Right.
But then we had that grisly death scene early on in the film.
Which, I mean, we just got done with the animated series. We know they can fix that.
Sure.
From the pattern sword.
Yeah, they just go back and get the old patterns. Come
And
on.
put poor Janice Rand at the council.
I know.
Council.
Welcome back,
Yeoman
jerk.
Rand. That was her only scene in this movie, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
I think they meant to have her in more, but yeah, I know they couldn't figure out how to update her to now. Like they didn't want to have a Yale man who served him coffee.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
makes sense.
They put her on the bridge in future movies, which is nice.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
transporter console, that works. That's a stepping stone.
But yeah,
But she eventually basically becomes the Uhura on Sulu's ship, which I think is a nice
That's right,
position
yeah.
for her to advance to.
Yeah.
I also thought that in both this and Wrath of Khan, spoiler alert, this is more like, well, we retrofitted the ship, and there's a lot of new people on it. Wrath of Khan, it's a bunch of cadets, whatever. So it's a very similar. Kirk ends up assuming command.
Right.
Yeah, so after this mission, they just okay, Enterprise is only for training missions.
Right. Yeah.
They keep it on Earth.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because they were on Earth, no other starships within several days of Earth. That
Right.
doesn't make sense to me.
No, because
they have another starship.
especially as Earth-centric as Starfleet seems to be.
It is. The United Federation of Planets is headquartered
Seems
on
like
Earth.
you should have.
They'd have a starship guarding the planet
You
at
would
all
think.
times.
Yeah.
That was annoying to me.
So the Vulcan,
Trump.
the science officer,
Yes.
it gave me a very cool Alan Cumming vibe, and I was like, I love him, I love him, I love him, and then
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Had Leonard Nimoy not come back, that wouldn't have happened.
Yep, I know.
Like I said, when I was 11, I saw this. That scene was like harrowing.
Yeah.
That stayed with me.
That would
And
probably
Ilea.
stay with me now since my mom fast forwarded.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
But
I didn't think it was that
as-
bad.
I think I saw the
thought
movie
the
by myself.
screams
Nobody
were
else
what
went with
made
me.
it bad.
I was probably
I'm with you on that.
My parents let me watch all kinds of
Yeah.
crazy stuff when I was a kid. So
Oh, my parents let me. Like I said, I went by myself, but because nobody else wanted to go see something with
Well,
me.
I'm just saying that the suggestion of what happened is, of course, very grisly and very horrible.
Yeah.
But if you break down what it was just sort
What
of
you
like,
actually see, yeah.
There's some light and some screaming. So if you didn't really understand what was happening, or if you were too young to be affected.
Bambi's mom getting shot's probably worse.
Yes.
Bambi's mom
Oh,
is always
sorry.
worse.
Spoiler alert. Bambi's mom gets shot.
I was also one of those kids who understood what death was, but was just not super phased by it. I remember with Bambi, my mom's like, "Yeah, you never really cried. You just rewound it to the beginning."
Different
Watched it
podcast, but
again."
do people still watch Baby?
Yeah,
I did.
as a
Is it
kid.
still? Okay.
Let's see what I had there. Like the 3D modeling shots they would have for scans looked a lot more retro futuristic, for lack of a better term. Like an Atari game we were playing, like Battlezone or something.
Yeah.
I love that they actually. This doesn't really come up anywhere, but you pointed out too when they said it. You said it several times. Let's set a parallel course. Like actually rotate to get to the point to explain why we're doing this level on to do something.
Sure.
Like this is the thing we've been talking about for months now. Just the idea of all sci-fi, they just meet nose to nose for no reason.
And I thought the effects overall were really great, but it was interesting. And I know they had a lot of problems with them, and they had one company that worked on them for a year, and they pretty much scrapped them all. And then Trumbull and Dykstra, who helped with Star Wars and 2001, came in to do a lot of the V'ger and all that. But then there's still some of the elements that look very, very cheesy. There's some that look great.
The shots of Kirk and Scotty through the shuttle window.
Right. Anytime they get hit with any kind of electricity bolts or whatever, it was very animated.
I was reading the thing about Chekhov being electrocuted.
Yeah.
With his hand, yeah.
Yeah, he actually got burned by
Yeah,
stuff that they put on it to make it. Aluminum foil and then some other stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so they had to end up shooting it 10 times, and he ended up the liquid that they had on there to make it light up and stuff. Actually got onto his skin and burned it. I'm like, it's like
Method acting.
after the first time, I think I would have been like, okay, it burned me. Can we stop now? Good enough. Do it in post.
And that was definitely a callback to the original series, getting to hear Walter Koenig go, ah!
And Wrath of Khan gets to yell at
Yeah, he does it again.
So-
I mean, it's hilarious every time.
I just liked what we were boom, 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 and Sulu's just like he's still shaking, but he's dance shaking.
So speaking of the energy beams, when Leia first got zapped by the V'ger and then disappeared, I thought she was dead because up until
me
then,
too.
Me
everything
too.
we saw got zapped,
Got
got
killed.
vaporized.
Yeah.
And I think, based on the explanation, that it may have vaporized her
Yeah.
and then rebuilt
Just
her.
Yeah.
That is
kind of
what
like they do with the
said.
transporter when they just get their old records.
Yeah.
Right.
So the other thing about that in the IMDb was when she did that scene with V'ger, she actually was temporarily blinded by that light.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And it forget what they call it. It's kind of like a snow blindness when you don't have sun protection on for long enough. But they had her stare at that darn light and long enough that she actually got blindness. So the people on the set
Yeah.
Where's OSHA?
Uh,
And like, no animals were harmed, but a lot of people were.
no one cared until 2 years later when someone died on the Twilight Zone set. Then they started caring.
Was it that
It was
early?
right after, yeah.
How come Decker is better at engineering than Scotty?
Yeah.
And then Spock's better at engineering than Scotty too.
Magical.
Like, Scotty's supposed to be a miracle worker, but Decker and Spock are both better than him at his job. And Decker's the only one qualified to be a science officer. Was he in sciences before he became captain?
Well, he must have been if he's that
Must
good.
have.
If
Must
he
have a little of
Scotty.
everything.
But then he just
I just saw that.
jump. Yeah, but if is he skilled in science or is he skilled in engineering?
Overpuster.
I liked that Chapel and Bones rushed to see Spock because, of course, they're the
Yeah.
the Enterprise
Yeah.
that most love him.
Oh, boy, that was amazing to me. Just like
Do you like-
Spock's reaction. I don't know if that was a product of his training or whatever he'd been doing or his isolation.
I thought he was
Makes,
overcompensating on
Yeah, he
that.
walked in and he
amazing.
just like he didn't give a crap about anybody. He was just
But-
like,
I
And-
Hi,
failed
guys,
my
whatever.
test, so therefore I'm going to be extra.
See, my thought was he was feeling so much emotion. He was like, I'm going to so overcompensate this because I do not want to show I got stuff to do.
well,
I'm looking
So-
fly. Makeup on point.
I
So I'm
cannot
gonna-
mess this up.
Yep.
you're ruining my
Yeah, no.
moment.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
No.
I also noticed that Kirk seems to have the Tantalus device from Mirror Mirror in his
Yes, he
quarters
does,
because
yep.
he can spy on the rack deck from his quarters.
I didn't catch
Can
that.
spy on everyone.
Yeah, he and McCoy were watching Decker on his date with Ilea.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that's what you guys were talking. Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I did notice that the spaceship, the space station, had some way to see inside the Klingon ship
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also see outside the Klingon ship and also see outside their space station.
Well,
Well, there's
that's,
floating
thought-
cameras outside at all times.
I thought
That's
it was
what that guy
one
floating around
guy.
was
Yeah.
doing, yeah.
He's floating around with a camera.
Your camera like controls
Everywhere.
I feel like the look inside the Klingon ship, the Klingons must have shared that
Yeah,
with
I
him.
think so.
Like,
I
oh,
think
here's
so.
what's going on.
no, that's their special trial cam. You know, so for when they have like that anybody's on court martial, they just bring up the little monitor and it just shows them everything from the TV view of.
The line Decker said, what used to be called a black hole. What's it called now?
Yeah. They don't even tell
I think
us.
they call it black holes again.
Probably.
Later.
A black,
Later.
a black
sure they do.
oval.
I do like the
That's
wormhole
what-
scene, though.
Yeah.
I hated it as a kid for whatever reason. It drove me insane.
I didn't know.
It
Yeah.
feels
But I
unnecessary
like-
in the movie. Like
Yeah.
it's something they could have cut to make the movie
I
shorter.
think it,
but I
yeah, I think it might be too
The
long.
only thing that
I only
it
like it from the
really
aspect
does
of-
is demonstrating Decker's
Yeah, yeah, and that
heroism.
maybe the ship shouldn't be going out.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And he couldn't be, and he actually ignored Kirk's command.
Yeah.
And saved the ship.
And saved the ship.
So
Which
I
is
think
what
that
Kirk
we
would have done
needed
if he
that.
was.
Well, and the
The
wormhole
XL.
wasn't just by chance, which is what I remembered. I remembered it being by chance, but it wasn't. It was because the engines were malfunctioning,
Ah.
which makes
Yeah, yeah.
they created it themselves.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Kirk's end line, "Go that away."
I love that line.
It's a great line,
Yeah.
but it also makes no sense.
It doesn't, but
Yeah, I thought he just had temporary control.
It cuts the
And now
heavy.
he's just like, peace, we're going to space, y'all.
Well, again, it's like Kirk's back in command, and it cuts the heavy-handedness of whatever he says before, which is something heavy. And it's definitely that I mentioned when they got back on the bridge, like, did we just see a new life form? I'm like, you guys probably should have had a conversation on the way there.
Yeah.
Why'd you wait to get on the bridge? But it's definitely that wrapping up the episode.
It was
kind of
that
feel.
long walk back to the ship.
Yeah,
They did it in
yeah,
silence.
no.
They expect the bridge. Hey.
Because they was making out. in
Oh,
the
they were
elevator,
like,
that's why.
what should we say? Are there any losses? So on and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
And I
Yeah, I like that,
And then
too.
the talk before that was where they were having the thing, and you said, feel like that could have been happening on the elevator on
Yeah.
the way in.
Yeah, yeah, they could have handled all that.
Yeah, they could have, but I love the tradition of ending the Star Trek movies with the crew
Yeah.
having their little conversation
Yeah.
on the bridge. Only one of the new movies does that. We've got a few wrap-up questions, but before we do, any other notes anybody wants to
I have a
mention?
bunch of quick ones mostly. They mentioned that the size that it's 82 AUs. Does anyone
that
know what
was
an
a
AU
mistake.
is?
That was a mistake. I read that they dubbed
Oh,
it over
really?
for 2 AUs in the director's cut
Oh, really?
because 82 AUs would take them a long time at warp drive to transverse.
Well,
What is an AU?
An AU is the distance from the Earth to the Sun.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I feel like that shouldn't be that far. I like McCoy's line about they drafted me, and I think we all agreed that Mike McCoy shown. I think in this movie he's great. He's like we just got off the animated series where he's terrible,
Yeah.
and it's not
Because
DeForest
we had
Kelly's
seen him
part.
again.
Yeah,
Seeing him makes all the difference.
the animated series that was the one element that was so over the top. In this, he's great, and he's the voice of reason. I like his scene with Kirk. When he's kind of like the one who's, and it's echoed in Wrath of Khan too, and he has some great scenes there. But very much like that's the only part where it's like Yeah, where he's like, it sounds like I think you actually do want Command back, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
like
he
that.
does.
Yeah.
Clearly.
This is also the episode where Jimmy has swayed me to Bones and Spock need to be in a relationship.
Yeah, Kirk's relationships with the Enterprise.
Yeah.
No, Kirk and Spock.
No, Spock
Kirk
and Bones.
and
There's a great
Spock.
scene in
This is just like Twilight.
I think I mentioned this on the podcast before, Jessica, but you weren't here. There's a great scene, I'm pretty sure it's in a novel, I'm pretty sure it's not canon, where Kirk goes to McCoy's apartment on Earth, and Spock's there, and they're hanging out, and Kirk's like, can I have some common drink? And McCoy's like, oh, I don't keep that in stock. Can I offer you something else? And Spock asks for some, like, complicated, obscure thing. He's like, oh, yeah, totally, let me get it. And Kirk's like, why do you have his thing, but you don't have this common thing? And McCoy's like, because he's here all the time. You're not.
Yeah, but there's plenty of novelization stuff too that's like,
Yeah.
here's how much Spock and Kirk love
Oh,
each
there's a
other.
Yeah, but that's not what stuck out to me, so it doesn't matter.
You mean fan
That doesn't
fiction?
support.
Yeah.
No, I mean from
It-
Star Trek
If
novelization.
it doesn't support my point, Jessica, it doesn't matter.
So there was a plot
It's
point for the
love.
movie that I didn't quite pick up on. I'm
Uh-huh.
hoping you can fill in the gap on that. Voyager.
V'ger.
Yes, V'ger. But Voyager, I guess, encountered some other living machines or something. Is that what happened?
Yes.
And
The idea is it crashed on a planet of machines, which I
Okay.
feel like has been used in some other things, and I can't remember what they are.
Futurama.
Part of the idea in one of the Radiohead OK Computer songs. There, I think one of the ideas of the when OK Computer in theory was a concept album. I guess it still is, but there was a whole mythology about it, and that was one of the ideas. Was that this
I didn't know that.
the OK Computer was rebuilt on another planet, just like yeah.
Did they have an agenda themselves, and why were they so?
They're
It seemed,
nice.
it seemed like
Yeah.
they didn't seem to have many problems like mowing through Klingons and killing everything else along their way.
Because they were acquiring knowledge.
Yeah, they fixed him so he could make it back to Earth to the Creator and
Fulfill his purpose.
his purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they upgraded him
in
in
the way.
Purpose.
But they lacked
Okay.
this.
This.
the hand holding. This is the arm wrestling.
Oh.
So all right,
Simple
so
feeling.
this is mostly just the way that V'ger, after he was upgraded, kind of went off his own and did
Yeah.
these things. It wasn't
After
like them.
it was upgraded.
Sorry, it. Yes.
There's no gender assigned.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
All right. To be fair, that once
it
her
it would
body
probably
was
be a
female.
she because usually
Yeah.
ships and stuff are she's anyway.
He did go right for the girl, but that doesn't mean anything either. So. Although we know gender is binary, as we learned on the original.
That's universal across the
It's
world.
universal everywhere. Eileen and Decker share a look after they.
Voyager 5's going to do it.
I can't remember which one of them figures something out, and they share that little look, which I feel harkens back to Where No Man Has Gone Before, when my favorite Ensign Smith Jones and Gary Lockwood hold hands when they have that little moment. Kirk, he's the admiral. Is he an admiral now,
Yes.
right? Yeah. When he's barking out things like, when he keeps saying like, we only have 47 hours to do this. You need to do something. He sounds like every Commodore on the old series, which makes sense because that's part of the idea. Is like you're just like all those
Maybe they all want to get back to
Idiots.
starships too.
You're just like all those idiots that you used to get mad at. You're them now, and he doesn't even realize it. So that's a little thing. Persis Kambata, gorgeous. Something I've said to many of my wives and girlfriends. I would still love you if you went with the Persis Kambata look, and I don't mean that. I don't mean that facetious. I mean that literally. I mean not everyone can pull off that Persis Kambata look, but we talked about Spock feeling the Alderaan blown up. And first I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, Spock's a Jedi, blah, blah, blah. But it's more goes back to like what we had, especially in the third season where Spock's a Superman and can do everything.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like when he shows up here even, which I think is cool. When Decker's like, oh, I know him. You can, I'm going to step aside here. That's cool. Deflector shields, I feel like every time they take one hit, it's like, we're down 70%. It's like, you need better deflector shields.
Well, they got
Every
better
time.
ones, but then this thing.
No, right, this one was
way
more
more
powerful.
powerful.
That's a fair point. This is easily the best cloud we've had in any of the Star Trek shows. It's a low bar, but we already mentioned it's very 2001. That whole thing is very Jupiter and the Infinite Beyond, except it doesn't look as good. Although as a kid and even now, I love looking at all the more mechanical parts, which I think is more Dykstra did those. Just imagining the machine that's built there and what's going on in there, and then when they get to the part where it's like. Especially the part where it's like, oh, this is the journey went on, which is like, that's exactly what 2001 is like. Here's everything that's happened. Now you know everything. And David Bowman's gaining that knowledge. In this, it's kind of the opposite where it's like, here's all the things V'ger learned and Spock figures it out. So I like those aspects. I get that it's too long, and I think there's too much of it's just a cloud. But the cool parts I like.
Yeah, there were parts with Spock that I thought he gained powers that I hadn't seen him have before.
Yeah.
The just standing up and being like, oh, he's feeling confused. He's feeling. I'm like,
It's a very
wait
powerful
a moment.
mind.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, you're not touching it. What's going on?
We've seen him do things in the original series where he doesn't touch, but this, I guess, was just a really
I'm
powerful
like,
mind.
are you a betazoid all of a sudden? Can you just feel all the feelings?
Maybe it was his training that he was getting involved
There
in
you
there,
go.
the thing he was doing.
Well, no.
That's
Maybe.
logic, not feelings.
I like the new alert sounds.
It was to purge feelings.
Oh,
I didn't like him
So he shouldn't
back
be
then, but I like him now.
picking up
now
feelings.
I put that it took him into the annoying smoking commercial with the puppets that we hate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was on at my gym yesterday. I was like, "What is going on here?" I thought something was going on in the building. I'm like, "It's just a stupid commercial."
They played on Adult Swim all the freaking time. So
It's
like,
those truth people, right?
Yeah, just like it's like shut the. No,
Yeah.
it's like you're,
Yeah, I
why would
hate
you
that.
play that at like
It actually wakes
1
me up
o'clock in the
if I
morning?
have
It's like
TV on.
But if I was on a starship, I would like that as an alert if
Yeah.
something was going on.
I would like the ones. Personally, I mean, if I had an option.
no, your favorite is from the Flash series.
Oh, the
Where's-
awooga.
Yeah, Aruga.
Oh,
Okay,
that's a
so
good
yeah,
one.
that's it. That would be my first one, and then the one is my second one.
I know we've all seen the Star Wars prequels, but there was some tough CGI acting in this. I mean, the original series had some tough
Oh
CGI
my
acting,
gosh,
but there
yeah.
was some tough CGI acting. I thought
When Sulu and Ilya were right there, and the probe.
The
was
probe,
coming
yeah.
in,
Oh, yeah.
They were looking at like opposite things.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's right there.
They needed a tennis ball. They needed tennis ball
No.
technology back
There's
then.
like, look at this general area. I like that the cloud had a tractor beam because it's interesting the cloud knew what a tractor was. It remembered where it was from. I know I talked about this on the original series, but I asked this on the original series, like, why are they still tractor beams? They shouldn't be tractor
Can it be a
beams.
beam? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know Kirk's from
Well-
Iowa, so he... Yeah.
It has to be some kind of beam. Beams do all kinds
We
of things.
still use words that the meanings have gone out archaically. I'd buy it.
I don't think that tractor necessarily
We
means
still
a.
dial thing.
But that's...
We still.
I want to know where Eric's and Maress were from the animated series.
Yeah, they got promoted and moved on.
Oh, they have their own ships.
They're both commanders.
I did like we had a female navigator, though, once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had two.
We had two female
Idea, and then,
navigators.
yeah, so that was something. I like
Her name
the...
was Chief DeFalco, played
Oh,
by
that's
Marcy
right.
Lafferty.
That was Shatner's wife.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Huh.
Rest in peace. She's the one I think died in the tragic drowning accident.
Mm.
Okay.
She was also in Airplane 2, the sequel.
Oh, just like Shatner. I just remember this when I read the novel the 2 or 3 times, and I have an alternate episode. There's this
that's
weird
a-
thing where
wrap up.
Roddenberry goes into detail where Kirk sits down to talk to his girlfriend on a video screen or whatever as he's about to head up to the Enterprise. And it says she shows up on the screen and his genitals give a slight push. That's what Roddenberry wrote in the novel.
Oh, man.
You can tell how that stayed with me because it was
What?
40 years ago.
He is the worst.
What?
Yeah,
The
his
worst.
genitals gave a slight push. Now, I mean,
Into his pants?
yeah,
guess is
I
the
mean-
thing of like the.
don't get me wrong. I think that's great that he missed his girl, or whatever. And you know, I hope everybody's genitals give a slight push when they see their woman. But it just seemed weird to write that in. It wasn't necessary. There's other better ways.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we needed to. Give
it's just yeah.
Going in the nomenclature now. His
Yeah.
genitals gave us.
I don't remember. I don't recall a slight push.
We need to pause and be silent for a moment so Marianne can recreate
No.
with the hand gesture and what was it?
No.
You mentioned DeFalco being Shatner's wife. There were a ton of other little cameos like that in here.
Oh,
James Doohan's son, Christopher Doohan, made a cameo.
Both of them.
Montgomery Doohan would also make a cameo. Chris Doohan's actually been in some of the new movies too, doing cameos. David Gerrold, who wrote Trouble with Tribbles, made a cameo.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Bujo, it's spelled BJO. Trimble, super fan.
Oh yeah.
Who
Oh, yeah.
basically
Yeah.
led the campaign to get
Yeah.
Star Trek a 3rd season.
Yeah.
She did a cameo in this.
I'm-
So they, Denise Ikuda,
Mhm.
the designer, did,
Oh, yeah.
worked on all the spin-offs, did a cameo on
Mm-hmm.
this.
I wonder
So
how she felt about the 3rd season after she saw it.
probably regretted it. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. She did it. Regret
I'm
it.
sure she didn't, but
Yeah.
like deep down inside of it, she was
Like, I fought for this for.
"Ow, I fought for this. My soul hurts now."
My final note is that Nimoy is still and Spock is still the MVP. I mean, I'm still a Shatner Kirk guy, but I think for this movie,
Okay, so I got 3 wrap-up questions. First, favorite scene in the movie?
probably the starship porn.
The Star Trek part.
Yeah.
That's a great part.
Yeah,
For me, I think McCoy's entrance nudges. it
that's
out.
pretty good.
It could have been the Spock scene when he entered and was just the super fabulous and just like didn't just no acknowledgments to anybody. Oh, we all feel that way. We love that you're back. He's just like, I've got stuff to do.
One other quick note: this movie did get 3 Oscar noms, didn't win any, but best score, best visual
Great
effects,
score.
which again for its time were pretty good, and best art direction, best set direction. So,
Yeah.
Not best costume.
My favorite scene
Was the graphic of the hands?
is the hand holding.
Hands.
So that was my favorite.
That's fair. That's fair.
I have 2. One was I don't know. I'm torn between Spock's entrance and McCoy's entrance. Probably Spock's entrance. I agree with Keith that was just very as unemotional, yet an underlying tone of emotional the entire thing. And my second is probably just seeing the guy outside the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Just like, what's he doing? And he's like, he's obviously going to the docking bay.
Yeah.
Nope.
And I think Jimmy and I were confusing that with. I think in Wrath of Khan, there's a guy out there who waves and does a backflip,
Yeah.
but he's not flying around. He's just watching them leave dry dock again. But
Alternate scene movie.
it's this thing called the Changeling. So this thing goes back and it comes back and
Nomad?
tries to find the creator. Yeah. And then it turns out the captain of the Enterprise has a similar name to what their actual creator is, and he uses that to outsmart him.
We're gonna come back to that in a second. As like the final question.
The guy that's actually in there, what's his story?
In
What-
the-
what's
in
this
the-
guy in the spacesuit
yeah.
the whole time. What's his story?
The guy on Earth, not the guy who gets killed in the
Yeah, no, not that
space
guy.
ship.
The guy that's like, they were friends. They were actually on comm with each other, and so it has the one that's back with the Enterprise. He actually has this whole storyline of how he has to go avenge his friend, so he just clings on to the outside. of the Enterprise.
Now you're making me think the other guy is still like, are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Are you still there? And he's just moving around trying to get a good signal
Can you hear me now?
from the guy. Yeah, that's all he's doing.
So that was his, refrigerator lady, and so he like holds on to the Enterprise and has to go and find his friend.
My alternate scene / episode / movie. I just wanted more of Sulu and Uhura on the bridge and Chekhov commenting to each other about everything that's happening.
That's the whole thing when they're, and we talked about this in the original series, like that whole time they're talking to Beecher's like, what are those other guys doing?
Yeah, because they're having a great conversation.
Yeah,
wanna
I
hear
mean,
it.
are they? It's not like the Family Guy cutaway scenes where the people are back there like just looking at their phone and smoking. It's like something's going on there, but we never really get to see it. Maybe occasionally the old series, I should say, but
I guess
that.
mine would be that the whole movie is just entrances, like Star Wars style cheap pops of like this character's back. This character's back. They walk into the bridge and say something. This character's back.
Nomad
It's like-
comes through.
Yeah. It's like, oh, cheap applause, But
Jessica, do you have one?
Whoever's in charge of the uniforms at Starfleet is going through a phase where they're like cycling through old Earth styles. And they're
Everything
just
comes back.
really
Everything
obsessed
comes
with
back.
the 1970s
Let's-
right
It's
now.
Everyone a
Tokalani.
onesie.
It's Tokalani.
Yeah.
Let's give everybody a onesie that they can't get out of, and so
She's
they,
like,
when
you
they
know
have to go to the
what?
bathroom,
Yeah.
It's like
they
she
actually
has a
have to have
Bee
someone
Gees
unzip
phase
them.
going on right now, so she's like, what would be a good idea?
That's what the belts are for. You click one button, boom, your pants drop off.
I thought that's what the plunging collars were
Kirk
for.
designed those
But they're
for not for going to the
attached your
bathroom.
shirt bow.
See, this
Weird.
reinforces the uniforms reinforce my poop removal, and they don't need to take down their pants anymore.
I mean,
Yeah, there you are.
see,
Men,
Aiken,
women, romantic.
Poland.
am I allowed to pick Aliyah? Did we
I think
decide?
so.
All right, then I'm
I
definitely
think you
picking
can pick
Aliyah.
Aliyah.
Then I'm picking Eileen.
And I am also picking Eileen.
You're not wrong.
Keith is picking V'ger, right?
Nah.
I'm kidding. You can pick
No,
whoever you want.
there's really not a lot to go with on this one. I mean,
But we can't
there's
pick
there's
Spock.
there's
No.
Okay.
there's Ilea, and pretty much
Pick
that is
Spock's
it. I mean,
outfit.
There's Decker, there's DeFalco, I would allow Rand,
Sure.
there's
Okay,
the spacesuit person, There's Commander Sonak.
Oh no, I'm going for.
Oh, right, of course,
The Vulcan, the Alan Cummings.
Sonak sounds like one of Space Ghost
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's Zorak.
Yeah, so it sounds like Zorak.
Oh, Keith, what's your answer, Keith?
And probably Rand, I suppose, and
You want Rand?
maybe Decker close second as
Who
far
was
as
the
just
season?
very commanding.
What was the name of the season 2 cloud?
Headford.
Yeah.
Merged Headford.
Merged Headford.
Do you think she and V'ger talk?
Well, I mean, V'ger isn't really.
They hang out. They get chats.
I mean, is the cloud even part of? Like, how did that even work? As far as
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm
That was
going
part
with
of the
Rand
technology.
too. I was thrilled to have her back, and I
I think
enjoyed
cloud's
her
a
scene.
simplistic term for what V'ger is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed her scene a lot.
Yeah.
Last question I have for us is, was this the best motion picture to make? I mean, it basically took off of 2 original series episodes.
Yeah.
They were both in season 2, which is the best season. But the Doomsday Machine, Matt Decker,
Sure.
Will Decker's father, we ranked it 5th for season 2.
Okay.
And The Changeling, which we ranked 11th for season 2.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
So we didn't love it as much as I.
Well, I mean, season 2 was pretty strong.
Yeah.
How many episodes were in season 2?
26.
So that's middle.
Yeah. I mean, it was
Still
a good
But
episode.
it-
I loved it. It's in the middle.
Yeah.
No, I mean, they're all good. I mean, that's still. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, yeah. I mean, so Space Seed, which is obviously what they chose for the second movie to
Yeah.
continue, was 8th in season 1 of
Yeah.
our rankings.
So.
So this is similarly ranked if you average the 2 together. But I just wonder if this was the best film to make.
And that
I
was-
loved all the coming back
Yeah.
together, and I liked how cerebral it was. But was there a better reintroduction?
And for a lot of Trek fans at the time, because the casual fan didn't know what the hell the Changeling was,
Sure.
it was definitely like, why did we do all this to remake the Changeling?
Yeah.
It hits similar themes, and yeah, it looked better and all that. But yeah, I'm with you. I feel like I almost wish they just, as much as it's like, oh, we're getting the band back together, and that's a great trope too, but I wish you just started in the middle of either a second 5-year mission or whatever. I understand they couldn't go back to the original 5-year
exactly
mission,
what I would want.
but I think there could have been a better.
Or a new 5-year mission.
That's
At
what.
the beginning,
In the middle, or in the middle, the beginning or the middle, whatever. That would have been much more interesting to me.
I feel like they were trying to launch a new 5-year mission with this.
Yeah,
In this
and that
instance.
gets back to some of that phase 2
2
stuff.
wasn't
Yeah,
a new 5-year mission. Yeah. Nobody could agree on what Star Trek was, and so they were all fighting for direction of the film, the studio and the network and the.
And Roddenberry
Gene
really
Roddenberry.
wanted this kind of.
Roddenberry did a draft of the script that everybody above him agreed was worse than the previous draft,
Yeah.
and like tossed that out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He said he had Spock going up against the Toshiro Mifune.
Is
That
that
would
a
have been
Japanese
cool.
spirit or something?
No, that's an actual
The
actor.
Oh. I was like, what?
I mean, I'm glad they decided to go the intellectual route. I just think they could have done it a little bit better.
Yeah.
So next week we'll be talking about the con. Watch it, and until then, live long.
And prosper.
Unless you're in a transport accident.
It's All Been Done presents.
Who's got the time?